Well, my mother said I was born in Newport, Kentucky, because she came from Mason County, Kentucky, and my story was that she wanted me to be born in her native state. But my father said I was born in Cincinnati, showed me the house I was born in. But it could have been that when she was ready to give birth, that she wanted just all she had to do was go across the river to drop me off in Kentucky, you see. So I don't know where I was born. All I know that I was born, and I'm happy I'm living today. I was working in the summer. I was working up in a little town, Sterling, Colorado. I was shining shoes. I always had some kind of hustle, and summertime I went up there, and so it was on a rainy day. Nobody wanted the shoes shine. I was working in a barber shop, so I was looking at some literature belonging to one of the barbers who played in the Sterling band. He said, "You like music?" I said, "Yeah, I love music." He said, "You know what you ought to do? Get yourself a saxophone. That's a new instrument." I said, where can I buy one? Well, it so happened around the corner from the barber shop was a music store. It was a drugstore, and they had a few instruments there. And they had a $75 B-flat tenor sax, and I bought it. That's the short story of it, but there's more to the story. And now I'm ready to go back to Denver and learn to play the saxophone. I knew music. I knew how to sing do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, and all like that. You know. So all I had to do was put it in the horn. So that's how I got into the business. Oh, well, George E. Lee came through not Oklahoma City, but Tulsa first. And I was playing at Tulsa. So Cab Calloway is going into the El Torian. And he's there, and he's breaking it up. Now, the Playmore wants another black band. We called them colored in those days, you know, like Cab Calloway, you see. And so they want to give him some competition. So say, why don't you call him? And if you'd like to go to Kansas City, that's an opportunity. He said, better still, I'll call him. So George E. Lee called Stidham, and the long story was Stidham came down to Tulsa the next day and heard the band, and he called back to Kansas City and told his cohorts that the band that they'd like to have. So that's how I got to Kansas City, and to the Playmore through George E. Lee. And so I became a Kansas Cityan. My sister-in-law was a nurse where my son was born, right here, and Kansas City really became a home, you know, away from Denver. Basie was hired in Benny Moten's band. And when Moten died, Basie took over. That band was younger than my orchestra. Our orchestra was, it was well developed in not only playing the blues, but out in Denver we played the country clubs and so forth, so we had a library to fit whatever color, you know. And that's the reason of our popularity around here. We played the music that we liked, and we played the music like what the white folks liked. We played the waltzes and so forth, you know. Mm-hmm. When the Real Thing Comes Along came out, the first count was 86,000. So it almost took me out of the jazz market. It put me into country clubs. It put us into white hotels, and that's what it did. Put us into more colleges, and it was just because of that song. And Faye did a good job with it, and that was it. Everybody was dancing in those days. They had ballrooms. You had two of them, three, and if you, the one on 15th Street, and then there was another one up there where the blacks used. But everybody was dancing then. This was after World War I, and people were happy that the war was over. And music has a gathering quality, and a lot of people just go to a concert just to hear music. But now when you can go and listen and act to it, that's something else. And it broadened the dance business. You had the Primo here, and it had the Auditorium, it had 15th and Paseo, always busy. And that's that's what I could see, in having been in the music business since the early days, 1920. It was 5 cents or 10 cents a dance. There would be girls sitting like that, on the side, and a guy would come and ask them to dance, and then he'd go and he'd give his tickets, and he'd go through the gate, there's 5 cents a dance or 10 cents a dance, see? And that was very, very popular, and also upbuilding to the listening ear of people, for music. We were in Detroit. He was with Jay. I think Jay fired him, and I was there, and Jay McShann was there, and another band was there, on different jobs, see. So Jimmy Forrest was playing tenor with me, and Jimmy Forrest had worked with Charlie. So now he's fired. So Jimmy Forrest said to me, he said, do you mind if, what do you call him, not Prez, what do you call Charlie, nickname anyway, Bird. You mind if Bird rides into New York with us? I said, no, it's all right. So I took him into New York with me, and later he joined my band for a short time. And he didn't want to leave New York, because he had his thing going around New York. But as long as I was around New York, he was with me. But we were playing down in Washington at on a job. And intermission, he went one way and we went one way. So it's time to come back. I said, where's Bird? So I said, well, I'll go down, first place, I go down to the toilet in the men's room. I went down there. He was just sitting on a stool. There was the lid down, he was just sitting there meditating. I said, ain't you going to make this show, man? He said, sure. Sure. So he came on up. I had no problem with him until he wanted to leave. He didn't want to leave New York, so he stayed around New York, and I was going out on the road again. So he left. But as long as he was in there, everything was together. And I can't say anything negative about Charlie Parker. His playing was good, and he was on time, and he didn't miss any jobs. Now, what he did off the job, I didn't want to know anything about. The piano player I had, Brian, he was he's a chastening. Every woman looked good to him, So when I'm having a rehearsal, he wasn't around. So the bad thing, the mistake he made that time was when the Brunswick and Vocalion people came down to record us. We recorded in one of the radio stations here. He didn't show up. So John Williams, who had come from Memphis, had a wife named Mary Lou. And she came into Kansas City so she'd be here with her husband. All right, now, Jack, Marion Jackson was his name, he was a woman chaser. And I called a certain time for this rehearsal at the Playmore. He didn't show up. Now the people from Chicago were there with their machines all set up like you set up here today. All right, so I asked John to call Mary Lou to come and substitute for Jack. So she did, and that was the worst mistake Jackson made because Mary Lou replaced him because he couldn't do anything like Mary Lou, you know. So, and she became a member of the orchestra. She had a style of her own. She had different styles. That girl was just a natural. You know, you can't really explain her exactly, you know, because she could play anything. You know, she was just an outstanding pianist. She came with me here in 1929, and she was with me up until the 40s, I guess, yeah, up in the 40s.
Your definition of music, what is jazz?
Jazz, oh boy, I think you're hungry. Jazz is a form of music arrangement that really comes from an individual's mind and heart. If you think of great jazz greats, you think of a personality like Lester Young, maybe, or the other one who worked with me from here. They had a style of their own, and they had the same progression in music, but they had a different way of spelling it out. There's the only way I could. And no two sounded alike. Lester Young didn't sound like Charlie Parker. Charlie Parker didn't sound like Lester Young or somebody else. This came from that individual's mind and heart. You want me to tell a story about Faye Terrell himself? All right. Now, we're playing a dance in where, down down south anyway. Up in the balcony were the white kids. This was a black dance. So we were playing the dance, and some tall guy, black guy, he didn't like the looks of Faye Terrell, you know, because he had that falsetto voice, you know. He thought maybe he was a little effeminate, you know. So the guy was trying to shove in the mic, you know. The mic was about that far off of the dance floor. And he was trying to shove the mic in the Faye's face. Faye held it tight, you know. Now what we would do, we'd play an introduction, sing a chorus, then we'd play 15 with, and then Faye'd come back and sing the last half, the last 32 bars, the 16 bars. So this guy was trying to push the mic in Faye's face, and I moved it back, you know, and Faye came out to sing his part and put it right in front of this character. And then after he sang, he bowed for the applause, and this guy, he must have called this guy a dirty name. So this big cat, about this much taller than Faye, jumped up on the stage and Faye hit him, ping, and flattened him right away. So, and these white kids up there in the balcony said, more, more.